today I want to go through like a quick little bit of history just of Battlefield Sports, and then I want to go on to things like important success factors and things to think about when you're looking at a business. But I'd like to preface my comments to say that there's a couple of things. Obviously I'm Australian, and I found when I'm here some of the terminology I use is not used in the US, so if there's any time there's something not understood, please stop me. Yesterday I was using a couple of days I was using the term hire, and everyone's looking at me, what do you talk about hire? Hire, what's that? Because it's rental here. So it's just a side change, and they can throw you out and you're going to misunderstood and you don't know what the rest of the whole thing is making sense after that. So please stop me. But anytime, it's very interactive. If you've got questions, jump them in, right? I'm happy to keep it really dynamic. Please just don't go to sleep listening to me. I find if I actually ask questions, I stay awake and alert, so please feel free to do that. I don't mind if we detour a little bit through this, but we do have quite a bit to cover. You're just going to set up a little flip chart for me. That'd be fantastic. Thanks, Ken. So, on the Battlefield Sports side, look, we started really... Actually, I pretty much started looking at this back in the late 80s. Right, my background there was, I played a little bit of paintball, I played some indoor laser tag, I was into gaming, into sport, I did all these things. Coaching sport, made a living coaching sport for a while, which was actually very useful for this business. Very useful. Actually, in fact, I taught sport. And I'm going to say I wasn't really satisfied even back then with the live gaming options that were available. Right, that was as a gamer. Right, paintball was cool if you played with everyone who A, respected the game, right, and B, didn't mind the cost, which was pretty expensive when you started out all the paintballs in. But putting those two things, you've got respected players, it was actually fantastic fun. We had some great times. And I was actually involved in the initial demonstration games back in the early 80s when it opened in our state. So got on the media and talked to them. Actually, it's funny, the reason I was on the media mostly because the other guys are all Army reservists and they're all really worried that their officers are going to see them. So they're all going to get chewed out, right? So I had all their Army outfits that they led me to the event because they didn't provide clothes or anything. This was a launch. You literally didn't get a mask, you just got the goggles and nothing else. Well, it was a launch. They didn't include us what anyone was doing. But you had some problems there. The main problem I found was that people could shoot when they were dead. And that could be a problem with the people aren't respecting the game. And I played indoor laser tag, which is sort of cool, but it didn't really flow properly for me as a game. The fact that you basically couldn't hold a position, you couldn't really didn't really flow right for me as a gamer. And the range was pretty limited as well. So it sort of stuck in my head, I really want to change that. And so in the early 90s, we set up a bit of a company to try and develop a system. Failed, initially. But by 99, we actually got something resembling a workable system. And that was really cool, because I can tell you what, it was pretty, when I say resemble, I mean resemble. It wasn't really a workable system. You could still shoot yourself, and it didn't stop you shooting when you were dead, and it did also look really basic and run out of batteries all the time. But this was a really curious thing. Despite the fact that it was basically terrible, people kept coming, and they wanted to play. I thought, this is really interesting. Right? If we could actually do this well, maybe this would actually be really popular. If people are coming and paying some money when it's pretty ordinary. You're really hopeful that actually if you do it right, more people would come. It sort of like makes sense, right? So that's sort of go, well, we've got to improve this. And so we're running commercial games. By 2000, 2001, we were running commercial games. We ran commercial indoor during the wet. I mentioned some people had wet tropics then. Rain 3 months a year. Just torrential rain. Terrible. And if it did stop raining, the humidity and the heat was just ridiculous. You couldn't do anything. So we'd run indoor 3 months a year, and then we'd go out. We had a bit of section of pine forest we had, which is really unusual for a pine forest. It's actually a plantation. That seems to me it was lovely. And that was pretty successful. The place where it was Cairns had about 115,000 people in the city. General reach about 250,000, so not a huge population. Not high socio-economic, mostly tourist industry, so mostly minimum wage jobs, majority. So, I wouldn't exactly say ideal, but pretty quickly we were needing like 50 gaming guns and so forth. So, but we decided we want to expand, so we moved to a major city, Brisbane, and in 2001 we actually started selling equipment. We didn't sell it for that because they weren't good enough, frankly. I mean, it took us a couple of years to say, well, we'll constantly repairing, changing batteries and that stuff. This is not as you get a technology right. So 2001 we got up, started to what we call the classic system now, which it works and works reliably and well. We've expanded since then. 2009 we launched what we call SATA, which is Small Arms Transmitter Receiver, which we redid. Actually took us about 5 years of development, but we redid all the optoelectronics pretty much from scratch. Right? And we did that for a couple of things. After running for so many years, we really figured out what we needed in a system. Management, I actually find management by hindsight fantastically easy. You look back and go, how did we possibly not thought of that, right? That is so obvious. And you're going to see that with some of the games I described later on, right? You go, well, that's obvious. Of course you do it that way. I tell you what, it wasn't obvious. It wasn't obvious. And we tried all sorts of stuff to figure out what we're doing. Maybe we're not that smart, but it took a while. So, SATA launched in '99, and that's been really successful for us in our own operations. We still, helping other people run their business is obviously really important for us, but we find the best way to do that is to run our own business successfully. We learn lessons right at the coalface. You use that term coalface. There's no confusion with that. No one uses what coalface means. Do you use that term here? Coalface? No, yeah. Ah, right. I don't know what it means. If you don't imagine a coal mine, you know where they dig out the coal. It's the guy people right at the front digging out the coal. They really know what's happening right there. It's the good right. It's front line. It's not rather than the back office, right? So that's why I had a phone that needed to survive everything, because I've been out a lot in the coal, right out the front line. So you get to really know the customers and what's really happening out there, and we need to organise some seats. Yeah, a couple of seats here. So. And really, that's a really short summary of what's happened. As right now, 2012 in our local business, we've got about 1,000 gaming guns in our depot and at least 1,000 outfits and multiple trucks. And it's a fairly significant operation what we run in Brisbane, running out of southeast Queensland from Brisbane. And we run mobile events, we run outdoor events, we rent equipment to people to run their own events. We rent to team building companies who then deliver events. We do a lot of different stuff, which we sometimes run some indoor events too. Yep. Not all the time, but certainly do that. So that's a little bit of just a really quick summary of about 20 odd years. I don't want to go into details. It's been a lot happened in 20 years, but that's a quick little summary.